Welcome back to All About Winning Daily Fantasy Sports. My name is Ty Patton. In this video, I'm going to break down tonight's Monday Night Football Showdown contest between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Before we get started, I want to talk about last night's game real quick, the showdown between the Ravens and New England, and extend my apology for my numbskull take on Lamar Jackson and fading him. I think I overthought this and got caught up in the New England mystique. And up until this point, I'd been on a little bit of a roll with the captain spot and cashing in a few showdown contests. And this one, I definitely overthought. I want to. What's more disheartening is the fact that I had a really high number of viewers compared to what I've had in the past. And I really hope you guys come back today and give me another chance. For anyone who has followed me, you know I am a Cowboys fan. It's the sweatshirt. But I want you to know that doesn't make me biased at all. I've been a fan since 1977, and I feel like this actually gives me an advantage with contests such as the Showdown, because I'm really in tune with the Cowboys' strengths and weaknesses, and I'm also really aware of their opponents in the NFC East. So I look at this as an advantage. I don't build lineups with my heart. Whatever the numbers are is what I go with. Before we get into this game, I want to look at some numbers that are fantasy relevant to Showdown contest, up to and including last night's game between the Patriots and the Ravens. There have been 60 Showdown contests to date. The average winning score is 134.19 points. The winning captain score is 43.85 points, which means the captain's position represents roughly 30% of your lineup. I have broke down the captain's position as follows, and this is through the 60 Showdown, including last night's game. The underdog has been in winning line. The underdog running back has been in the winning lineup captain's position 14 times for 23%. The favorite quarterback has been in the winning lineup's captain position 10 times for 17%. The favorite wide receiver has been in the winning lineup captain's position 9 times for 15%. The favorite running back has been in the winning lineup captain's position 8 times for 13%. The underdog wide receiver has been in the winning lineup's captain spot 7 times for 12%. The favorite defensive special teams has been in the winning lineup captain spot 5 times for 8%. The underdog quarterback has been in the winning lineup's quarterback spot 3 times for 5%. The underdog kicker has been in the winning lineup's captain spot twice for 3%. The underdog tight end has been in the winning lineup's captain spot 1 time for 2%, and the favorite tight end has been in the winning lineup captain spot 1 time for 2%. Now, I combined them by position and broke them down even further for you. Running backs have been in the winning lineup captain spot 22 times for 37%, so over 1/3 have been had a captain that was a running back. Wide receivers been in the winning captain spot 16 times for 27%, and quarterbacks have been in the winning lineup 13 times for 22%. 43 of the 60 Showdown captains have been on the winning team straight up, and that breaks down as follows. Running backs have been on the winning team straight up 18 times with 4 losses. Wide receivers are 10 and 6 straight up. Quarterbacks are 8 and 5 straight up, and the defensive special teams is 5 and 0 straight up. So if you use the defensive special team, I would definitely get the one that you think's going to be the winner of the game. Since the captain represents 30% of my score, I obviously want to come up with a game script, select a captain that fits the game script that I'm leaning towards, and build around my captain. In tonight's game, Dallas has been installed as a 6.5 point road favorite with a game total of 48.5 points. The best matchup in this game is the Dallas passing game, as the Giants have a DVP of 31 versus the wide receiver position. Now, this probably surprised a lot of people, And I'm sure that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be really popular in the captain spot and builds, and I won't totally fade him out. Meaning I play a few different contests. I don't MME. If I did, I would have a fair share of Zeke Elliott, obviously, in my lineups. But the path to the Cowboys' victory, I believe, is going to be through the air. Giants are a little more stingy versus the run, ranking 17th, compared to ranking 30th against the pass and 31 versus the wide receiver position. But Zeke is the name that everyone knows and associates with the Cowboys, so I'd look for there to be a lot of ownership with Zeke in the captain spot. He's the most expensive at 17,400. If you put him in the captain, $300 more than Saquon Barkley. As I mentioned, I believe the wide receivers have the best matchups. I think Janoris Jenkins is the best cornerback for the Giants, and I believe he's going to match up with Cooper, and which puts DeAndre Baker on Michael Gallup, and this is a phenomenal matchup. Baker has allowed a quarterback rating of 153.6, and I don't know that I've ever seen a rating that high. He's also allowed 5 touchdowns this year. I'm not saying that Cooper doesn't have a good matchup, because when Jenkins shadowed him in the first game, Cooper had 6 receptions for 106 yards and a touchdown, and that's 25 points. Gallup had 7 receptions for 158 yards and no touchdowns. So, they're basically pretty close right there. I do feel that Cooper is an elite route runner, and he definitely has the propensity to put up big numbers. Janoris Jenkins by no means is a shutdown corner. And in the games that Cooper has played, I think he's played 5 NFC East games now. He's scored an average of 24.29 points per game versus the NFC East. Likewise, Zeke has faced the Giants 5 times in his career, and he's only scored over 20 points one time. And that, I believe, that was 22 points. But his average fantasy points scored in those 5 games is only 15 points. That's not saying Zeke can't go out and smash tonight. I just feel like the path of least resistance is going to be through the passing game. Dak Prescott spreading it around to different receivers. The key pieces for the Giants are obviously Saquon Barkley. Barkley is not game script dependent. Whether they're winning or losing, he's going to be on the field. He's getting all the carries. He's getting the goal line carries. He's catching passes out of the backfield. He's not doing as well as he did last year, and he's not producing as much as McCaffrey this year, but he's real close, and definitely presents a problem for the Cowboys. Dallas is ranked 28th against the running back position. Another problem that Dallas has is the tight end, and Evan Ingram. Dallas is actually ranked 29th versus the tight end position, and and in the first game, Showdown, Ingram they didn't win the game, but he was in the winning lineup as the captain's position. It's the only time the underdog tight end has been in the winning lineup captain's position too. Was when Evan Ingram did it against the Cowboys earlier this year. Barkley has played 3 games versus Dallas, and he's averaging 23.67 fantasy points per game. Ingram's played 5 games, and he's averaging 17.6 fantasy points. But as I mentioned in the game earlier this year, he scored 31 fantasy points against Dallas. And to me, those are the 2 main pieces that I'm going to try to fit into my lineups from the Giants. So the top players that I'm interested in having in my captain spot are Amari Cooper, Gallup, Prescott, Ingram, Barkley, and Zeke. As I mentioned, my main build for the bigger $10 contest, I'm going to take a stance. I'll show you that lineup. and I'm going to fade Zeke on that one. Take a chance. I know it's risky, but you have to take a stance somewhere. And I'm going to go with I believe the Zeke game comes after Dallas has done what they wanted to do through the air. That's the game script I'm going with. That actually covers a couple game scripts. Something happens, the Giants get out on the Cowboys, then they're going to have to go to the air as well. So I actually get two game scripts that way, and I leverage myself against the field because I know Zeke Elliott is going to be really popular. As I mentioned, obviously you can't fit all the stars in unless you put some crazy cheap captains, and the captain scores 1.5 times points, but you can't put a captain in there that's going to get you 6 or 7 points and then hope the rest of your every other player scores 30 points. As I mentioned, the average winning score is 134 points, and your captain, you need to have a path to your captain doing well, if not the best out of everyone. So this is the lineup that I'm going to build, and then I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. I like Prescott up here in the captain spot. Need to have one of those two pieces of Barkley or Ingram. This particular lineup, I can't get Ingram in there as well unless I move things around, but I feel like Barkley gives me a nice floor and does a lot of things, and he's not, as I mentioned, game script dependent. I'm going to have Amari Cooper. I'm going to have Gallup, and I'm going to have Cobb, which does not leave me much. I have to go down, and I'm going to put one of the pieces of the Giants passing game in there. Shepard is still out. In the last game, Latimer got a lot of snaps. In the first game against Dallas, he actually got, show you this real quick. The Dallas game, he received 7 targets. He had 3 receptions for 74 yards, 10 points. I don't know that he can get that this time. He's going to get some snaps. He's $800. He's not a punt or a zero. If he got 10 points, I would be ecstatic tonight with the rest of this lineup. But this is what I'm going with. I'm going with Dak having a really good game. Excuse me. I wanted to mention that one reason I really like Dak Prescott, and it doesn't mean this is how the game's going to go, but he's averaged 36 fantasy points in the last 2 games he's played against the Giants. He's in those 2 games, he's averaging 396 yards and 4 touchdowns. If he gets just close to that, and I got him in the captain spot, he's going to get that by throwing it to Cooper, Gallup, and Cobb. Now, another scenario is I could take out Gallup, and I could probably get another. I could take out Gallup or Cooper and get another piece of the. This was an interesting piece to the Giants game as well. The last 2 games, Golden Tate has actually had double-digit targets, and I looked. He has in the past he had played against Dallas, and in one, I believe it was actually last year, he actually had a really big game against the Cowboys, 2 touchdowns in that game. But in the last 2 games for Giants, Daniel Jones has targeted him a ton. He's targeted him 21 times in the last 2 games. He had 9 against New England, 11 against Arizona, and 10 against Detroit. So actually, if I just took out, I kind of like this a little bit better. There was a way I come up short of getting Evan Ingram. He is $1,000 more than Tate. I don't want to really go much lower than Latimer. Uh, I just don't see any of these that are. I'm not willing. I'm not willing to take a zero. I feel like Latimer does give me opportunity for a few points, and so I really like this. The only other thing I could have done is possibly if I wanted to take out Tate, if I took out Cobb, I could go up and get Ingram and come down and, but that just then I'm going. I don't. That only gives me one target with Prescott. So I just take one of these punts down here, and I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to build it that way. I would go with if I have a captain or my captain is a quarterback, I always want to have at least two targets with him, and this gives me a more balanced look. Now this obviously is fading Zeke Elliott, and it's really risky. But if you're going to go with the Dallas passing game onslaught, and then Zeke cleans it up later, maybe he doesn't have to do as much tonight. Showdowns, you always have to take a stance, go with a game script. You're going to have to fade somebody because you're not playing every player unless you just go down here and punch your captain, which really doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'll show you something here in a second after I talk about this. But this is kind of what I'm going with. I feel like I have a lot of points here, but possible points here between Barkley and Cobb with the game script that Dallas is going to get out on them and put it to them with the passing game. So, as I always do, I take the players that I'm interested in and I use an optimizer. I have the optimizer run 150 lineups, and I do this just so I can see different optimizations, randomizations of the players that I like. The players that I had in the pool, I believe it's like 15 or 16 that I feel like are viable. I don't go all the way down to um, Brian or Four or the $200 ones. As I mentioned, I'm not willing to punt. And, these guys could very well come into the game and catch one pass for 80 yards and a touchdown. But like the Isabella did for Arizona the other day. But I didn't do it that way. And I put my players in there. I limit the exposure in the captain spot. And then I just let it run. And I ran 150 lineups today. And it definitely produced a lineup that was different. And I'll show you what it is, and we'll talk about it real quick. It had leading off in the captain spot, Latimer. Now, what this does is allows you to play as much whoever you want down here. It had Gallup in the flex, and the quarterback for the Giants, because there's only one way Latimer can go off, and that's if Jones throws him the ball. Prescott in the flex with Elliott and Barkley. It's really interesting. What's scary is Latimer averages 4.1 fantasy points per game, and with his average, let's say he gets his average, and that gives you 6 points. Well, between these other five, I got to come up with 128 points, which is over 25 points per each one of them, which is possible. It's definitely a different build. I don't necessarily like now. If Latimer in this game script, if Latimer went off with Jones throwing in the ball, let's say Latimer does get 2 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. I mean, now he's definitely smashed that spot. Dallas has to come back via the passing game. You don't have any targets other than Elliott. You just have some really big pieces there. But there is a chance that your captain gets a 0. With that situation, then you have 5 players that you're going to need, 40, or see, you're going to need 30 points. You're going to need over 25 points apiece to do anything. And I've never seen a slate won with a captain like this that scores a 0, but it would be possible. Now, he is going to be the third wide receiver tonight for them, but I'm really worried about Fowler getting a little bit more snaps than Latimer. Fowler is 1,600, and you can't just build. They use all the salary, and that's another thing on the Showdown contest. I seen something in the average winning lineups actually leaving a little bit over $1,000 on the table, so they're not spending the whole amount of money. Not saying that you can't, but that's just what the average has been through 60 Showdown slates. So yeah, it's really interesting. I first seen it, I kind of laughed because I'd been working on putting this video together and actually talked about not going all the way down and putting basically a turd in the top spot. But there it is, the optimizer's very first one. I might put it in a small one just to see, but I won't be having a whole lot of exposure to a lineup like this. So there you have it. I hope this information provides you some value. I want to thank you for joining me. I encourage everyone to post any comments or opinions below. It really helps me out a lot if you share this video, like it, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified when my next video posts. I will be back tomorrow to recap week 9, and then we'll start getting breaking down week 9 with my videos: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defensive, special teams, and get ready for week 10. You can also follow me on Twitter at winningabout. And as I mentioned, I'll be back tomorrow to recap week 9. Thanks again for joining me, and good luck tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. My name is Ty Patton. This is All About Winning Daily Fantasy Sports. Have a good evening.